for me, and as I'm connecting from Milan, the capital of design. So guys, welcome to Community Voices Special, which is the first of a series of interviews with service design experts of the service design network community here in Köln, London, and online. And we'll share their point of view on service design and how service design relates with several different disciplines and challenging all over the world. So with me, there's Katie, another service design network ambassadors, connecting from London. And we're going to discuss service design today with Birgit Mager. We are very proud of hosting you, Birgit, as you're the founder of a Service Design Network, and as well as, I would say, one of the first ever service design professors worldwide. It's a really pleasure to having you here and talking with us. So Birgit, please, thank you for being here with us, and I would suggest to lead this as a chat, as a coffee break in between friends, where we are going to discuss notions of service designs and the future challenges that you see as a service design practitioners and professional. So as well as it is a chat, I would suggest people listening to leave a comment below on the chat, and that you're gonna be able to be with us and talk with us in the future minutes that we're gonna stay all together. So Katie, if you're gonna introduce yourself and go on with it.
Sure. Hi everyone, I'm Katie, as Gabriele very kindly introduced me. I'm one of the ambassadors here for Service Design Network. So today I'll be representing the community building team, but really we all overlap and we are just very excited to hear about your experiences, Birgit. So if you could maybe quickly introduce yourself to the community and tell us how you first discovered service design and kind of what inspired you to become the designer you are today.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks, Gabriele and Katie, for organizing this. It's an amazing format. I'm Birgit Mager, and when I was young, I studied psychology. I was always very interested in human behavior, in group behavior, and how we can make life better and healthier and more fulfilling for people. So when I was towards the end of my studies, I decided to move into organizational psychology because I felt that it's better to change the work environment and the systems within which we spend most of our time, as opposed to curing the deficits and pains that people get because they do not live a fulfilling life. So organizational psychology, I was hired by Hewlett-Packard in the late 80s. And I have to say that was one of the most fortunate events in my life, because Hewlett-Packard at that time was an outstanding employer. They were all about trust in their employees. They were all about empowerment. And I had the chance to really learn a lot about organizational development. I made an education at the Gottlieb Duttweiler Institute in Switzerland. I made an education in systemic consultancy. And I had the privilege to work with 3 big organizational units during that time. And it was a time where organizations in general were moving from a focus on products and technologies towards a focus on solutions/services. And I had the chance as an organizational consultant to work with the 2 of the business units, the medical division and the electronic division, in this major change. I then moved back to Cologne, where I come from, and there was another little story. I'll cut it short, but then I was invited by the founding dean of Köln International School of Design, the beloved Michael Erlhoff, an amazing, outstanding, unforgettable person, who, from my point of view, reinvented the design education. Because he said design is not about beautification of things. It is about solving relevant economical, social, and ecological problems. And in order to empower designers to do so, they need to have a broad understanding of society, of economy, of ecology, and they need to be, in an interdisciplinary way, able to look at problems through different lenses. So we don't need idiots that look at the world as a nail because they only know the hammer. And he choreographed this educational system where gender and design, ecology and design, economy and design, and service design were rooted already in the early 1990s. And I was the very first professor ever worldwide, just to make it clear, Gabrielle, and not one of the, it was really totally new. And I was 34 years old, can you imagine? So I had this playground of inventing, imagining, experimenting. What could service design be? What could it mean to apply the designerly way of thinking and working to immaterial products? And I was quite fortunate. I had a lot of good projects. And then in the 2000s, early 2000s, a service design community started to emerge. And that was, I would say, when service design then really started, because it's not something that you can do alone. It became real when there was the first other professors and the first agencies, and we really started to network and to try to build the service design world.
So that's really great and super interesting that this mismatching and like ways of always looking for new that actually brought you to service design. So what's for you the current state of service design, and as well, how do you envision or which kind of challenges are there for service design to your point of view?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think in the early times, service design was a lot about methods and processes, and we were super proud of all these beautiful journey maps we drew and stakeholder maps and personas, and that has become state of the art. Every marketing department has persona, and every agile project maps a journey. So this is not new or different anymore. It was at the time, but today, I think in service design, it is a lot about well, creating impact. It's not the playground that we need to use. We need to make sure that we create an impact in a social, economical, or ecological way, and that we can make proof of this impact. So that has a huge impact from my perspective on design education, being it academic education or post-academic education. I think a designer nowadays needs to be able to understand his or her client as a customer. So we need to really get into the needs of our clients in order to be able to have meaningful conversations with them. In the end, what we are doing is system transformation and organizational change. And all the tools that we're using, all the methods we are using are means to get there. But they are not the only means. Other means are really to understand the systems through the lens of our client and really relating the work that we are doing for the better of the organization. The better of the organization is not necessarily always what the organization wants in the first point. Sometimes they want solutions for problems that they have not yet really understood. But we as designers need to make sure that the value of our work is really connected to the business. I sometimes do a little game with my students, and I come with these abbreviations, KPI, OKR, NPS, just to see, do we understand the language of our clients? And can we relate their measures to our work? So those are things that I think have become extremely more important throughout the last years, and they continue to be more important. And, so that's the one side, I think, impact and really creating value for the organization, which includes creating value for the end user. And on the other hand, I think the rapid developments of technology, of AI, of big data, they are extremely important for service design. We cannot stay in our beautiful post-it world, even though we have transformed that into Miro. We need to be very, very smart in the usage of new methodologies, of smart technologies for our work, all over the service design process.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree a lot on what you said about implementation. I would say I do find myself a lot on that, because designers nowadays in these years, as also what happened into IDEO like a few months ago, it seems that designers has lost that kind of I don't know, shiny cover on that, because lots of, on the management side, lots of people started to ask about the real value of designers and what designers were actually doing, rather storytelling or rather proposing visions. So I do think, I do agree that like into design and for designers will have to really, really, let's say, dig into implementation, really try to understand the business factors and the business ways and keys, the drivers, let's say, to propose and to offer what service design has to offer, because it has to offer a lot, I would say, in the whole landscape of design and in the whole landscape of services.
Yeah, I think the big challenges remain the same. We really have to make sure that we try to solve the right problem, and that means that we need to explore problems through different lenses in order to reframe them and come up with good questions. I think that's still a big challenge, and in organizations today, resources are limited. Time is always scarce, and there's a big pressure. So people tend to jump on problems that have not been properly analyzed or understood, and they jump on first solutions. So I think that is still a big problem, and it has always been. And we as designers should balance the focus on outcome with the focus on a deep understanding and thorough elaboration of opportunities. And this balance is something that in the past sometimes has maybe gone too much into the exploring and storytelling part, as opposed to coming up with solutions that make a difference and that are really implemented. And for the last 10 years, I've been, preaching implementation as a key component of service design. And I was always unhappy with the double diamond. Also, I was not strong enough to put my own process model against it. I mean, the design thinking community is quite strong, powered through SAP and Stanford. But I think in the double diamond, the implementation was never mentioned. And that is a delivery of what? A storyboard, a journey map, a delivery of a nice idea. I think implementation needs to be in our process. And if we don't work for the implementation of something new, then it needs to be very clearly reflected. Why is it? Why are we not working on making change happen? Why are we working on, just playing in the sandbox?
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. I think then it kind of leads into another question that we had is, in your opinion, like what's the future of service design, and maybe touching on this idea of implementation being part of our process. Then is there anything you would suggest as a way for designers to start doing that from today even?
The focus on implementation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, by the way, a PhD student of mine, Tina Weiser, has done her PhD on service design and implementation. And it's unfortunately, I think, still only available in German, but some of the key points she made is that implementation starts at the very beginning of the project. So implementation is not something that comes at the very end, it comes at the very beginning, in the way that you discuss the scope of the project with your client, by the way that you make sure that those stakeholders who are relevant for making the change really happen in the end are on board in one way or the other, by keeping the focus on the doability, maybe not from the very first moment, but in the moment then when it goes into the concept development. The doability is something that needs to be reflected continuously. Otherwise, and what you said, Gabriele, yes, I think the glossy, shiny sugarcoat of design as the magician of this complex world, it is crumbling. And I think design thinking is partially responsible for that. And service design, of course, then in the end as well. I do see a difference between design thinking and service design in a sense that service design is an ongoing, in-depth process that works with the organization, focusing at change, whereas design thinking sometimes is being used as a series of mini workshops where the illusion of creativity is put into a project, and then everything goes back to business as normal, as usual. So I think if we want to avoid that the whole design is damaged by superficial quickies that we do in organizations, we need to really take responsibility for change. And it's, as I said, it starts in the very beginning. So think about it, talk with your client about it, make sure that it doesn't limit your imagination in the sense that you are now just counting peanuts. But at some point you have to put the feet on the ground and see, so how can we make things happen?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And as it appeared also from our community, Bernice, I hope I've spelled it well, said that as someone who's worked in transformational programs, she totally agree with you, Birgit, and in the need to include implementation in our design practices. So we say implementation, let's say, is a big driver for future of service design.
Yes, definitely. And the other thing, as I mentioned, is that we need to embrace technology in a sense of AI, big data. Today I had a workshop with my students. We are working on a concept of how can we empower repair cafes to become a higher driver on sustainability issues in cities. And the students, very nice, worked for a week on a questionnaire. And today in the seminar, in the project, we discussed the questionnaire. And while we were discussing it, I asked ChatGPT to create a questionnaire around repair cafes to understand how do people perceive them and how do they use them. That was my prompt. It was 1 second later that I had a 20-question questionnaire, and it was at least as good as what the students had done in 1 week. So I think we need to use these tools in a creative, critical way, and it's of course everybody's talking about it, but I have not yet seen any curricula at universities that have really opened the door to teach designers to master AI now and in the future. And I think we need definitely to turn our heads and take them as a stakeholder at the table, as a partner in our research, one that we need to control, one that we need to critically look, does he lie, does he cheat, does she skip some important facts? But that's true with everybody we work with.
Yeah, I mean, and what are, for you, if you already analyzed or if you ever try to look at it, what are the kind of trends that you see having impact on service design, let's say in the next 5 to 10 years? This is a question that is answered by Andy from our community team, from our community member, and I do agree with her, because it's a really interesting topic, the way AI will impact service design in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt about that. So what exactly is the question?
I mean, if you have noticed some kind of AI trends related to service design in the future.
Well, I have to say I am not the AI expert. I'm
Right.
totally naive. It's I would say I'm interested, and I do work with ChatGPT. I explore it, but my opinion is based on some limited experiences. We had a team event with the headquarter of Service Design Network, a small group of 8 people last week, and we asked ChatGPT to create an anthem for the team, like a song that represents us as the headquarter of Service Design Network. You cannot believe it. Within a couple of minutes, we had the text. Then one of the team members fed the text into another machine, and we had the melody, and then we had a performer, and we could choose between the different styles of performing. It's a beautiful song. So I experience this, and I see that we cannot believe that our work will continue without using these resources. But I am absolutely not the expert to say how will that go. I think that we will use it for research. I think ChatGPT and other AI instruments can tell us a lot about the world around us by digesting data that are there. They can maybe even grasp things that are not yet there by combining things in unusual ways. So I think the creativity of the human will still be to go beyond the data that have already been produced. And ChatGPT so far cannot do anything that is not rooted in what is already there. Humans are also rooted in what is already there, but in the past, at least, they had the capability to squeeze and turn and combine things in order to make sense and come up with something new. So yeah, but I think all these other things, AI with all its different components, in graphics, in voice, in visual, in text, it will be faster and more efficient, and it will be the main resource that we use as a starting point for our work. I know, I'm not sure if Maurizio Manaz is in the room, but Maurizio, he has created Maurizio AI. So he has fed all the stuff that he has produced throughout his professional life into AI. And now this AI is working as a partner of Maurizio. So in a seminar or in a coaching session, you can ask questions to the AI Maurizio and you will get answers. And Maurizio then checks these answers to see whether they are okay. And he says that in 99% of the time, the answers are great. And they come in speed like nothing comparable that a human could do. So maybe we will all have our AI replicant that does some of the basic work and harvests all the stuff that we have already said and done and published, which is nice. So you could be talking to my AI replicant here, and who knows, maybe you are.
Maybe we are all AI replicas here today. That's the twist.
How would you know?
Yeah. I actually was listening to one of the Service Design Network podcasts the other day, and one of the speakers on there compared AI to the sort of transformation of accounting with the availability of Excel. We're not losing the people. It's just a tool to make their lives quicker, simpler, easier. And I think that, for me, it's kind of reflected in what you've just said with how you've used AI in these workshops. Also, for the community, I will share it again, but we have the link to the song, which...
You're sharing it, okay. Yes. So the song that AI created with us is online now. Yeah, and I mean, the development has just started, and we have to stay positive about it because we cannot stop it. But of course, it's also scary to see how fast everything that humans have been doing is there in a version by AI. And I think all these safety issues, security issues that are related to it, they cannot be underestimated. Ethical issues, security issues, they will become part of the design work of services, because at least in Germany, we have a lot of data-related issues when we design services. It's a lot about privacy. It's about protecting the humans. And at the moment that AI is integrated, we have very tough questions to answer.
Definitely. I think with all of these emerging technologies, we have the ethical responsibility to sort of follow through with things. Another question from our community. I mean, Birgit is the founder of Service Design Network, so this may be slightly easier to answer in this sense, but maybe you could touch on other organizations that you've worked in as well. So the question is, what is your current plan to push service design within your organization? From Andy.
Yeah, well, thanks for that question. Well, my main organization is the university, and here we are developing the BA and MA program, and I hate to say, I will be retiring in 2 years. So I'm trying to make sure that service design update 4 or 5 will be here when I'm leaving. That's one of my big issues, because I believe that service design is extremely important for design education. We do have an integrated design approach here, as I said in the beginning, so nobody here studies only service design. Every student studies a variety of economy, ecology, brand identity, product and systems. And so I think service design is an extremely important component. The other thing for me, I don't know how many of you have perceived that IXDA nonprofit has closed its doors on the weekend. They had financial problems and they closed the organization. It's a global network of experience in interaction design, amazing community. They did interaction conferences and they closed the doors. So my organization that I've been living for 20 years is the Service Design Network, and we are in a similar position. We try to bring together the community, we organize conferences, we publish Touchpoint, we have an academy, we have an award, so we have maybe a broader spectrum of activities than the IXDA had. But I feel for the SDN as an organization, it's extremely important to push the understanding of service design beyond the given boundaries. I think the service design community is quite strong and it's organized in multiple ways. The Service Design Network is big, but it's not the only partner in this pond that is creating activities. But I think we have the power to go beyond the existing service design community and bring service design into communities like human resources or like accounting or completely other domains who are not yet aware of the role service design can play. So that's where I see a very important future activity, also to continue growing the job market for service designers. I think for young service designers, it is quite difficult to find jobs. In the job market out there, you're finding ads for professionals with tons of experience. But we need to make sure that the young service design community finds their role in society and in economy. That's also why we have built the Young Talent Board and the ambassador group of the Service Design Network. I want the next generation of service designers to have opportunities to show their face, show their capacities, to build their own professional network in order to become really influential in that market.
Yeah, I totally agree. And if we do even get our challenge, which is basically the challenge upon which you build this service design network on spreading knowledge about service design. So what's that definition for you that may, let's say, give an idea in the easiest way as possible of what service design is?
Oh no, Gabriele, you're not asking me for a definition.
I'm asking you for a definition, really slight definition to help us and to help the community seeing the value of a network that actually spreads knowledge about service design.
I think my definition of service design has been published quite often. Service design choreograph people, processes and technologies in order to co-create valuable solutions with relevant stakeholders. So that's a short version. So, but what I really think is service design is system design, service design is strategic design, service design is organizational design, service design is transformational design. So what confuses me that in the last 30 years, I have to say, since I became a professor for service design, so many new labels have been created that might be confusing about who is doing what is system design, what is strategic design. We are not doing ourselves a big favor when it comes to marketing design, I would say. From my perspective, being rooted in organizational development, in organizational change, service design has always been about making change happen through a system lens, through a strategic approach, and through desire for transformation for the better. And another thing that I would nowadays include in a definition much more explicitly is that it is no longer about human-centered design. This has been discussed sufficiently in the last year, that us as humans with human-centeredness have caused a lot of damage to our planet, and that we need to be aware that design is no longer in a position to be only human-centered. We need to be life-centered or planet-centered, as Bruce Mau, for example, phrases it. And so this does change my understanding of the role of service design. It's system, it's strategy, it's transformation, and it's for the planet.
I mean, I totally agree, and I think that lots of people out there agree with what you say and find themselves into this definition, into this concept of what design is. And actually, I think this is one of the major reasons why lots of people engage with design and become designers. Linked to that, I would ask you, as also Silvia Rossetti suggests, which is a SDN members as well, how it takes to create and implement and keep such a design community worldwide. So a community where people believe the same things, have the same kind of vision, so in a way could be easier. But I mean, what are the challenges to you to take and to create and to implement a design community worldwide like SDN?
Well, I mean, SDN is 20 years old, and I have to say it's the most amazing community. It's a volunteer-driven community. I would say we have more than 200 volunteers working in different roles within the organization. We have chapters all over the world. We have a small headquarter, and basically all the money we earn goes into into sustaining the headquarter, so that again the headquarter is able to orchestrate the different activities volunteers do. I would love to have come to a point where I would not have to have worried about money, and I did not so far. And I think that is maybe something that is related to these volunteer-driven non-profit organizations, that we are always trying to give back as much as we can, and that it is very difficult to come up with capital. We have a lot of human capital, but not much financial capital. So I think the balance between giving back to the community and putting as much energy and effort into creating new things, into broadening the outreach of service design, needs to stay somehow in a good balance with our resources. And volunteers are a great resource, but as you all know, it's also important to keep the motivation up, to keep the communication well aligned, to keep the direction well aligned. And so I think the global design community will foster itself in a way. I think designers are extremely communicative, connective. They don't need SDN. The only reason why it might need SDN is to orchestrate and to funnel the energies in a direction that is beneficial for all of us. As I said earlier, right now my focus is on growing the outreach beyond the existing boundaries in order to have a positive impact on economy, ecology, and society, and to create jobs and relevant, influential positions for service designers. And I hope that the service design community will stay our friends, that you will become a member or stay a member, that you will join our conferences, that you will look at the academy program, read Touchpoint, and come to all of our free events that we are offering throughout the year on all different channels.
I think after this conversation, people are going to be very intrigued by everything that is happening to the Service Design Network. And just to touch on what you said, like we don't need Service Design Network. I think it's a fantastic space to be able to connect with this global community and have that sort of centralized location where people are just really curious, really open, and it's such a fantastic place to have amazing conversations. Like the fact that we're here today with you is very special. And I think we won't keep you much longer because we know you're a very, very busy person. But just to sort of wrap this up, our final question for today, but hopefully we'll have another one of these soon, is kind of what do you think are the development plans you have for the future of Service Design Network?
Well, I think I already answered that question. I think we will give more and more space to the next generation of service designers. I think it's extremely important that they take over and that they shape the network in a way that it's really beneficial also for them. I think we will try to grow the market of service design by reaching out to communities who are not yet aware of service design and been building strong relationships there. And we will continue our activities like conference and touchpoint and academy, trying to push the knowledge about service design into the next dimension and helping the service design community to grow and match the demands, the ever-changing demands of the market.
That's really great. Thank you very much, Birgit, for being here with us, for answering our questions, starting from definitions of service designs, then to shedding lights on the future of service design and service design network, giving us the possibility to conduct this interview, as well as I would thank the community and participants, like our audience being here, interacting with us. So again, to spread knowledge about service design. I would invite the audience, moreover, to fill our survey so that to understand how can we manage better interviews, what kind of guests would you like to have here, related to service design, of course, so that to increase our awareness of service design and as well to create and increase our community, because the more we are, the better it is, I guess. Well, it has been, as I said, a really nice chat, and we keep in touch, Birgit, to the next opportunity of meeting you here with us.
Thanks, Gabrielle. Thanks, Katie. Thanks, everybody, for having joined the event. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much. Bye, Birgit. Have a great day. Have a great you guys from the community and from the audience. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.